he seems really tired, like he's really out of it. He's looking irritable. And then we start going to sparring, and like we do a round or two. He's like, I'm going to sit out, and he won't spar me. I'm like, bro,
I brought you here.
You're out here so you can help me freaking spar. Long story short, the training's going shit. Jarrett's not into it at all. He's not even like fighting me. And
can you imagine being high and nodding off on opioids and trying to fight people? What the f is going on, YouTube? It's Ashcon, aka Dropped Out Beats, back again for the first time in a long time with a reaction video. Haven't given up on the channel. Just been trying to get my shit together, you know what I'm saying, so that I can put some more effort into this YouTube channel where we talk about drug addiction and all things neuroscience that have to deal with drugs and addiction. If that sounds interesting to you, and hit the subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. Today we are reacting to a professional MMA fighter, Jared Gordon, discussing literally being high on heroin and fighting people and helping Paul Felder train for a fight. And so if you're unfamiliar with Jared Gordon, he's a professional MMA fighter who used to struggle with drug addiction, particularly opiates. And so he now discusses his past addiction, gives people advice on how to better themselves and, stop struggling with their addiction, where to go to get help. And he talks about some of that here in this podcast. But with that being said, let's get into it and hear what these guys have to say. The premise being that Paul, our ginger friend here on the left, is bringing Jared out to a fight camp to get ready for his next fight. Jared is actually using heroin when he flies out to this camp, and they discover his heroin habit. So let's see what happens.
yeah.
Good time.
Dude.
Then there's the next one was I was shooting heroin on the ranch.
Okay. Do you mind if we talk about that? I mean, you're pretty open about all, and that's what's so great. And I was telling Mike before you were going to come on today that it's like Jared's got stories for days when it comes to this stuff. And obviously we know it all has worked out, and he's such a you're at the forefront of all of this, right? And really trying to help promote people to get better and pushing people for mental health and addiction and stuff like that. But anyway, it's because you had such an insane past.
I just want to say, when I laugh there, you're a very inspirational guy, and you opening up about this stuff, Jared, I think it does a lot of good for people, because obviously you were there, you were rock bottom, and now look at you, man. You know, it's incredible what you've achieved.
And so I will say, if you are struggling with addiction, going to a martial arts gym is a great way to begin to stop your addiction. You're going to find a bunch of people there that are like-minded, who may have struggled with addiction in the past, but regardless, there's going to be a bunch of people who struggle with mental health and use martial arts as a way to cope with their mental health. I mean, I've been training jiu-jitsu for the last 8 years. I absolutely love it, and so it helps me maintain a good life. And so if you're struggling with addiction, highly recommend going to a jiu-jitsu gym, MMA gym, kickboxing, boxing, whatever you can. Get in there, get some physical exercise that'll help you mentally, physically, and it's a good support system to have. So yeah, if you're struggling, check out a martial arts gym.
With that said, give us some of the debauchery.
Go for it, Paul.
Okay, so I bring Jared out again to the ranch. And maybe this was this was after that, right? I don't remember. Anyway, it was years ago. It doesn't matter. But I bring him out, and I'm getting ready for Jim Miller, I think. And this is a fight where, like Jared's a kind of a great look for that. He's shorter, he's stockier, he's strong, he can wrestle, he's got good jiu-jitsu, and he's got good kickboxing as well. He shows up, and I'm like, he seems really tired, like he's really out of it. He's looking irritable. And then we start going to sparring, and like we do a round or two. He's like, I'm going to sit out, and he won't spar me. I'm like, bro,
I brought you here.
You're out here so you can help me freaking spar. Long story short, the training's going shit. Jared's not into it at all. He's not even like fighting me. And
can you imagine being high and nodding off on opioids and trying to fight people, and trying to help another professional fighter get ready for a professional fight. Like, fighting people you're insane if that is your career path. I mean, I think we can all, like us normal citizens, I just train jujitsu and grapple people for fun. I don't fight people for fun. You know what I'm saying? And so if that's your career path, you're already insane. But like, to be doing it while you're nodding off on heroin, that's nuts. So shout out to Jared for even showing up and beginning to try to help Paul for his fight, because man, if I'm nodding off on anything, I ain't fighting people. You not either. Don't lie. Don't lie. Don't get in the comments saying, oh yeah, I'm a tough guy. I'll fight anybody while I'm nodding off. Nah. Jared Gordon, he's a real one. So anyway.
Normally we're trying to beat the shit out of each other. He seems off. I'm suspicious. Then we're at the ranch and he's like, yo, like, I'm waiting for a package. Did the package come yet? My mom's sending me something. And we were all asking him what it was. And I forget what you were making shit up about what it was. A prescription or something like that. Anyway, it comes, he gets it. We don't hear from him. He's in the bathroom at one point and chaos breaks out with like a bug or a rat or something in the ranch. And we're all freaking out. Jared comes running out of the bathroom to look at what's going on in the ranch. Forgets all his shit in the bathroom.
That had like all the needles and like the dope on the top
of a bloody towel and
the back of the toilet seat. So I guess someone had went in the bathroom. I think it was Jonathan maybe, or maybe it was
Jonathan or Jafari went in there.
So I'm like passed out now on the bed because I forgot all of my dope in the bathroom and I'm all doped out. So I'm on the bed and so Jonathan comes in the room. He's like, hey man, we got to talk to you out there. I'm like, oh, what's up? Like, you know, like, oh, I'm coming out of like a stupor. And they have like all the needles and the dope. And I'm like, oh, God.
Yeah, so I mean, not only was he flown out there to help train Paul so he's fighting while he's nodding off, but he actually shipped a package of heroin to the house that they were staying at, which is obviously incredibly sketchy, you know what I'm saying? And so then he's shooting up in the bathroom and they... You know, there's commotion going on that he wants to be in on, and they find his dope and needles in the bathroom, and basically they have an intervention with him right there, and it's like, man, that's super awkward to be getting ready, you know, helping another professional fighter get ready for another fight, and you're staging an intervention. Like, man, not a good place to be, but at least Jared Gordon got better. Let's hear what else they have to say.
Yeah. I still remember the bag, Jared. It had like a Batman symbol or something.
Yeah. It was heroin. Yeah. You know, wax bags of heroin. Yeah.
I'm familiar with Transformer pills and Dove pills because I might have popped some of those in my time, but never done any Batman heroin. So that's interesting that you heroin dealers are branding Batman on there.
So that's the package that he was waiting for. And then obviously
it turned into a Donald's house.
Yeah. And it turned into like a little mini clinic right there too, where we're like, we know that he's obviously going to go through crazy withdrawals and shit like that. I think Henry was like helping you, like distributing just like a little bit.
Like one of Cowboy's friends knew someone with Suboxone, which is like a drug that you take to come off of opiates. And I kicked it, man. I got clean that trip.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
And then came to the fight. And you came to the...
So basically one of the other fighters' friends had access to Suboxone. And so if you're unfamiliar with Suboxone, let's look at it here on good old Google AI helping us learn stuff. The point of this channel is not only to hear me yap about what I think about drug addiction, but to help you guys better teach yourself about drug addiction. So Suboxone is actually a combination of buprenorphine and naloxone. Buprenorphine is a partial mu-opioid agonist, so heroin is a full mu-opioid agonist. Buprenorphine, Jesus, that word is hard to say. Buprenorphine is a partial mu-opioid agonist, meaning it only binds, if heroin binds 100%, buprenorphine binds 50%, let's just say. And so Suboxone, well, it also includes naloxone, which is an opioid antagonist, which will cause someone to go in withdrawal if they were to shoot Suboxone, as in IV inject Suboxone. And so Suboxone is used to manage cravings and withdrawal, and to ultimately give someone who struggles with opioid addiction an ability to get off of that, to get off of whatever drug they're on by taking Suboxone. Suboxone doesn't get you high the way that heroin might, although I have personally taken Suboxone, and man, because I'm not really an opioids kind of guy, took Suboxone one time. My friend ended up driving me around in the car where I was just nodding off, and I was like, dude, you got to pull over. I'm going to have to throw up. Threw up, told my friend to take me back home. I ended up going to bed at 7:30 that day. It was one day over the summer. I woke up at 6 o'clock the next day to go to work because me and my friend were working a plumbing job, and needless to say, that was the last time I ever took Suboxone. First and last time I ever took Suboxone. Don't recommend it unless you are struggling with an opioid addiction. I was just being an idiot, but that's my story. Let's get back into it.
No, it wasn't. That was for Ross Pearson.
That was Ross
right?
Pearson.
He came out for Ross Pearson. Yeah. So, and he came to the fight and everything. And I'll still remember, to kind of help make it up to me after I weighed in, he went to some bakery in Vegas and bought me a whole entire Tres Leches cake. Do you remember that?
And then you were cutting weight. As soon as you got done cutting weight, you were eating it.
I was just smashing the cake.
I mean, I've heard of people, getting high on weed and going and doing jiu-jitsu.
That may or may not be me every Saturday.
I can only imagine.
Trying to spar on heroin.
Obviously you're addicted, so you're not thinking clearly, but you get jacked up on heroin and then go and spar world-class fighters.
I was spar Paul, Cowboy.
That doesn't sound like.
I really can't imagine falling asleep, because if you've been around people who use a lot of opioids, especially heroin, they'll be nodding off, falling asleep, sweating a lot. I mean, I guess you're in the gym, so everybody's sweating, so you got to cover there. That's pretty good. But I literally can't imagine trying to punch someone in the face while they're falling asleep, or I'm trying to punch someone in the face while I'm falling asleep. That's nuts. But functional drug addiction can take you far. So,
Like a good time.
No.
Or maybe it was the best time.
For me, it did. For me, it sounded like a good time.
Yeah, you're like, this is a good idea. I'll hide it. Yeah. I'll hide my.
I got away with this.
Yeah, and they won't know that I'm on one of the hardest drugs that you could take.
Have you had?
Hey, go click. Let me make myself bigger real quick. Go click this link right here, where you can watch a video essay that I made, last YouTube video that I made about how there's no such thing as hard drugs. Go check it out.
Have you had people reach out to you, Jared, though, going through similar situations and say, listen, thank you so much. Hearing you be so open and talk about this is really helping me.
Yeah, I mean, that's how. So, as my story, long ago started slowly getting out, people started reaching out to me, for help. How did you do it? Or, a lot of guys, where I get a lot of calls from is guys in the UK, London, Liverpool.
Big problem out there.
Ireland, some kid from SBG just reached out to me. It was like, hey.
So my family's actually from Iran, and I learned recently that Iran actually has one of the worst heroin problems in the world because of the good opioids they get from Afghanistan with the opium poppy plants that grow naturally there, and it's the strongest opium in the world comes from the Middle East. And so learned recently that my home country of Iran has a really bad heroin problem. Sad to hear it.
John Kavanaugh told me to hit you up.
Wow.
I'm struggling with this, and this. And yeah, I get messages from people all over the world, all over Europe, especially Europe. Mostly the UK.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, major drug use over there.
In my ignorance, I don't really think crack and meth, and again, I could be wrong here, but from my understanding, certainly when I lived there, crack and meth, I don't really think has the foothold that it does here. Right. But heroin is a big problem. Cocaine, coke's massive.
if you're located in the UK, comment down below. Does the UK have a bad meth and crack problem, or is it more so regulated to the opioids being heroin, and then we got cocaine, obviously, which is not an opioid, but
pretty much everyone I know does cocaine in the UK.
Yeah, that's whatever. A lot of the people that I talk to there have, like, alcohol, cocaine.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
Most guys go down the
sure.
pub, they have 4 or 5 beers, and then they're calling someone to get a drop off or whatever. But they don't have like real issues. You know what I'm saying? They're just partying at the weekend and whatnot.
So basically, what Bisping said there is that the people he knows back home in England don't have a cocaine problem, even though they use cocaine, let's just say on a weekly basis. And one thing that I like about that statement is it shows an understanding of drug use and an ability to control drug use an ability to control drug use and the difference between addiction, because what you typically think of is if someone uses cocaine, they're addicted to cocaine, and that's kind of like the propaganda that law enforcement and our government has put out there. And even the DEA today would say that any use of an illicit substance is abuse, which is factually not congruent with the medical field, where people in the medical field, we would say that addiction is a habitual use of the drug. Abuse is habitual use of the drug. It is not using the drug one time. And so I'm glad that Bisping can insert some nuance there, that just because someone is using cocaine doesn't mean that they have a cocaine use disorder. Yeah.
But the heroin's a bit of a different situation.
Yeah, I got a lot of people from Canada, obviously all over the States. But that's how it started. And then, I was like, man, I need to, how am I gonna, I could give you only so much advice, through Instagram,
Yeah,
sure.
Or we can get on the phone maybe, but I don't like handing my number out to strangers all the time. My wife was like, you got to stop giving your number to strangers. You're insane. You need a phone line, and then that's how I started getting partnered with treatment centers that are, national centers in the country. And now I'm able to literally place people into treatment if they have the ability. They are for profit, so you need private insurance or be able to pay, or they'll place you in the call center that they have in a facility that maybe is a stay-run facility.
That's badass, Jared. Shout out to Jared Gordon for being able to help people that much, and help people find treatment like that. That's really awesome.
Or something that Medicaid, or if you don't have a lot of money that you can afford. But they'll help.
Wish it didn't have to always be about money in this country. Now, obviously, that's not Jared's fault. He has nothing to do with that. But, man, fuck the insurance companies.
Place you. They're not just going to say, oh, we can't take you. And
get out of here. Yeah.
Heroin is. Oh, sorry. Go on.
That's all right. They can't take you, but the people that I send them to, they'll try to place them wherever they can or give them the best advice possible. So now I have the ability to help people.
Yeah, it's amazing, Jared. It is. In terms of the power of the addiction, is heroin the most addictive substance?
I would say opiates in general, but heroin, fentanyl now, and benzos like Xanax. So I'm talking as far as physical withdrawals.
Sure.
So one thing I am working on is trying to get together a video essay of, ranking how addictive the different drugs are. Comment down below if you'd like to see that.
The worst drugs to get off of, hardest drugs to get off of, are benzos, opiates, and alcohol. Alcohol is the number one. It's so if you're coming off of benzos or alcohol, it's considered a medical emergency, because you can.
Yeah, of course you'll die.
You can die in alcohol or benzo withdrawal. Opiate withdrawal, you're never going to die. You could come off of heroin. You could have the worst heroin habit ever, and you're never going to die from opiate withdrawal. It's just going to be very, very miserable.
Yeah, and so the reason that is, and I kind of harp on this all the time, but it's because alcohol and benzodiazepines directly affect your glutamatergic and GABAergic systems. those are your excitatory and inhibitory neurotransmitters respectively. And so that really controls so much of your brain activity and thus your physiological regulatory system, right? Whereas the opioid system is what's called a neuromodulatory system. So the opioids connect to those glutamatergic and GABAergic systems and kind of orchestrate, if you will, the symphony of glutamate and GABA throughout your brain. And so that's why, because alcohol and benzos directly affect those excitatory and inhibitory projections in glutamatergic and GABAergic synapses, if you affect those too much, you can die. Whereas with the opioid system, because it's just modulating, you don't have the risk of death there. And so I've got a bunch of different videos on the channel talking about it where I go more in depth on the neuroscience. If that interests you, please go check them out. Subscribe to the channel. Usually I have this cool neon light on in here, but it broke today. So yeah, appreciate you guys. Let's get back into it. There's only a little bit more.
The worst feeling ever. But coming off of benzos and alcohol is, from what I hear, I've never come off of benzos or alcohol like that. But I hear it's worse than heroin from people that I know that have had addictions to both.
So I actually had a couple of people comment on some of my TikTok posts where they were describing to me what it felt like to come off of benzos, and some of them were saying, like, you know, I've withdrawn off of heroin and benzos is way worse. It felt like there was like electric shocks going through my body all day, and man, that just sounds horrible. I can't imagine. So don't play around with benzos. Don't play around with alcohol. Don't play around with heroin. You know what I'm saying? Serious stuff.
Yeah, it takes a long time to come off the benzos, like weeks and weeks.
Oh.
So it has such a strong affinity to bind to your receptors that it takes forever for them to come off. Like opiates, heroin is like 8-hour half-life. So you take heroin, in 8 hours, half of it's out of your body, and you're already dope sick because it's leaving your body. You need more. Benzos, they stick to the receptors for so long that it takes your brain forever for it to come back from that.
It's not that it sticks to the receptors so much as how it affects the receptors and the brain systems, being those GABAergic systems. It really causes a rebound effect once you stop taking the benzos. So where we're having a lot of GABAergic activity when you're on the benzos, then you stop taking the benzos, GABAergic activity crashes, we flood the system with glutamate, cause excitotoxicity, which is nerve cell damage, or nerve cell death too as well. And so that's what can lead to those severe withdrawal symptoms that can kill you. And so you have to taper off of benzos to actually safely come off of them.
And
what kind of frequency are you talking about there, to where people are getting this kind of addiction to, say, you know, let's say Xanax or whatever, you know?
I would say, like, you're taking, you know, you're not just taking it as prescribed. So it's like, which leads to addiction as well, though. Like, if you've been taking Xanax for 6 months.
Notice first he said, if you're taking it not as prescribed, but that's where the time component comes in. And that's where I like his explanation here.
As prescribed, you are addicted to Xanax. Even if you're taking it as the doctor tells you, you're not going to want to stop taking it. Like, if a doctor prescribed me opiates for a month, take one every 4 hours, I would be addicted in 3 days again.
So
it's not necessarily true that you would be addicted. You would be what's called chemically dependent on either benzodiazepines or opioids, in whichever case, you know, we're referring to. Addiction is more specific to the psychological and behavioral effects of the drugs, where you will fly out to the ranch and fight people while you're high on heroin and have your homie ship you some heroin to this house that you're staying at. That is addiction. That is not necessarily chemical dependence. The chemical dependence comes in when the withdrawal kicks in, which is what they're about to talk about.
I've had neck issues for so long.
Like, what's wrong with me? Why do I feel sick? I just had a friend who had a knee surgery, and then he had to have another knee surgery like shortly after the first surgery. So he was on opiates for like a month, And then like he ran out of the pills and he was like really sick. And he was like, what the hell is wrong with me? Why? Like I'm throwing up. I got cold. I can't sleep. And then he realized like, holy shit, I'm in fucking
withdrawal.
I'm in withdrawal.
I've been having neck issues for a long time. So they prescribe some pretty heavy stuff. I do not take them as prescribed. But if I did, because I talk about this to my wife, I'm like, I'm supposed to take 4 of these a day.
You'd be addicted.
Which means first thing in the morning, take one. Then
popping like an oxy.
Mid-afternoon, evening. I sometimes when I can't sleep, I'll take one at night because of the pain.
That's different. Yeah. If you take one and then 4 or 5 days later you take another one, you're not going to get addicted. But if you take them,
you're not going to get chemically dependent, nor will you get addicted. So that's a good point.
Every 4 hours for 3 days, I promise you're going to want to keep taking them.
This sounds like like an immature question. Obviously, you've seen the movie Trainspotting, right?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. You know the withdrawal scene on there. I mean, obviously that's dramatized and it's a movie and shit. But is it like that?
Yeah, bro. So this is how I can explain it to you. It's like having the worst flu. So you're throwing up, you're hot, cold sweats,
sweating like crazy, right?
You're pissing out of your ass, sweating like crazy. Well, you know how on the flu, like you could finally pass out for like 5, 6, 7 hours, then you wake up sick again. There is no falling asleep in heroin withdrawal.
Yeah, so that's basically it. I think Jared is a great spokesperson for sobriety and trying to get through the struggle of addiction. I liked his explanation of withdrawal from everything that I've heard. That's exactly what it sounds like. And I liked his little details about how if you had the flu and you can get to sleep, like if there's one thing that when I have the flu, I desperately appreciate, it's the sleep. And so if I had the flu and couldn't get to sleep, yeah, man, I can't imagine it. Sounds like hell. And so appreciate you guys tuning into the channel. Haven't been here in a while, but that doesn't mean we're not going to be back soon, because we are going to be back soon. We're getting back to it. Hopefully I get this light fixed so we can all really fuck that up. Let's try this again. Hopefully I get this light fixed so we can all
turn on, tune in, and drop out.
Together. In the comments below, if you like this video, hit the like, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate all of you beautiful degenerates being here. Peace out.
We would learn together and experience together how to reach the 5 levels of consciousness which are available to a species like ours.
Drop out.